to me, those two departments have to integrally be tied together. Otherwise, you're not going to have a strong performing team or organization with a strong and healthy culture.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mutita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. My guest today is Zach Montroy, the founder and CEO of the Intention Collective. He's a leadership team coach for over 2 decades of experience. So today we are going to talk about team building and how to grow and scale companies with health, sustainably, and exceptional leadership. So stay tuned. This is something that you're interesting about. So please welcome Zach here to Get Unstuck Radio. Hi, Zach.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, wow, I'm looking forward to talk to you about this because I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, me too.
So before we start, how you started this entrepreneurial journey though?
Yeah, my entrepreneurial journey started a little differently. I started within companies. So I worked in a COO role for a lot of different years. Before that, was leading HR and teams, and always felt like, an entrepreneur, but within the context of a larger team, but didn't really have words to that. And it actually was taking the Colby assessment that really helped me understand I really have this, passion and giftedness for starting new things and innovating, and really sort of seeing what shouldn't be, what should come next, what is going to come next. But always thought that was going to be on a team, and so served on different teams, had different was at different companies for a lot of years, and finally earlier this year decided it was time to go out on my own, and really felt passionately about the way that we do our consulting work, the way that we really embed ourselves in with teams to help them grow and scale. So that sort of led to me starting the Intention Collective, hiring some amazing people, and it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, I hear that you work in CEO as a COO and also HR. Do you think these two departments, like, this is something that I also like having a battle in my mind, like it's so overlapping somehow, but you also have to separate. But how can you work together easier between these two departments, like managing people and also operation?
Yeah, it's been interesting. All my experience has primarily been in service-based companies and organizations. And, I think that oftentimes operations does try to separate out, like we have operations and we have people. And really, even if you are a product company, in the end, we exist, we're here, and people are the most important part of our operations. And so you can't ever really separate those two things out. I also really did not have a great passion around, the compliance side of HR. Obviously, it's very necessary. My passion really lied around how do we develop people? How do we care for people? How do we create a great culture? And so when we paired that into, our daily operating practices as an organization, what that ended up resulting in was we had habits around our values. We had plans to help grow and develop our people. We really helped everyone on our team understand their unique, giftedness, their unique ability, their working genius, to really help put that to work for the overall vision. And so to me, those two departments have to integrally be tied together. Otherwise, you're not going to have a strong performing team or organization with a strong and healthy culture.
Do you think between improving these two parts when the company is still small and about to scale versus when it's already scaling but like having conflict inside, which one actually easier to like distill somehow?
I don't think either are easy. I think the work of creating a strong and healthy team and strong and healthy culture is always challenging, difficult work because there's always something to be done. There's always something on fire in the entrepreneurial journey. There's always the whirlwind of everything going on in the life of our companies and our own personal lives. And so, the intentionality of doing it when you're starting out is a great thing. And it's also hard. It takes investment of time and energy and dollars. And if you wait too long, it's really hard when you're scaling a company and you look at your culture and you say, this is not the kind of company I wanted to create. This is not the kind of culture that I even want to work in. And we're growing just for the sake of growth. And, soon I'm going to look around me and no one's going to be here anymore. I'm going to really not be proud of what we've created. So I would say making the investment on the front end, I don't know that it's easier, but I think it's less painful in the long run.
So be selective since the beginning is actually better in your opinion then.
Yeah, it's always hard to, when you've got to kind of correct something, that's always a challenging thing. And so, that's one of the reasons we call ourselves the Intention Collective is I think healthy leadership, healthy teams come with intentionality. And so it really being intentional about who you surround yourself with, what you pursue, what we're investing our time and energy behind.
Can you explain more about that? Why we have to like really focus on intention then? Since you even named the company Intention Collective, why it's so important?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a word I overuse. So as I was thinking about a name for our team, I talk about intentionality all the time. I don't think much good comes in life without intentionality. I don't think healthy relationships come when you're not intentional. I don't think healthy business relationships come when you're not intentional. Certainly growth does not come. It's few and far between when you hear about companies just scaling and growing without being intentional around their strategy or intentional around their offerings or the people that they're hiring. And so the work that we help do with companies really is how do you grow and scale a company, but at the same time be growing and scaling a company that is marked by health and purpose and courage. And that takes great intentionality because the world tells us you can have one or the other. You can have a healthy company that's scaling, or you can have a healthy culture, but likely you're probably not going to be growing, at least very quickly. And we believe you can have both. We believe if you are intentional about your leadership, intentional about your culture, you can have both things.
So if we want both things, what should we plan on doing then? Since like at the time that like a small business, like a small team, let's say right now we are like about 5 members, how we should start thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever we are talking about growing and scaling a healthy company, we really always come back to 6 fundamental issues. When we look at the growth and scalability of a company, we look at the design of the team, the design of the company. How are we moving together? We look at the cadence, the pace in which we're moving, and are we paying attention to the most important metrics in the life of the organization? So what's our scorecard? What's our scoreboard? We know we all play the game differently when we're keeping score. So those are the systems that we really have to be intentional about. Getting clear on how we're moving as a team and company. Are we moving at the same pace? Are we focused on the same and right things? And are we keeping score of the right leading metrics? And then, on the healthy culture side, where are we going? What's the vision? Is there something in that for everyone on the team? Do they know where we're going, by when, and why we're going there. I love the Thomas Edison quote. He says, vision without execution is hallucination. We have to, and I would say even oftentimes there's no vision at companies. We just show up and punch the clock proverbially, but we don't actually know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then knowing who we are, what are our values, what's our identity, what are we best in the world at, what fuels our economic engine. And then on the people side, do we have the right people growing and healthy on the team? So that system side, the sort of heart and soul of the organization, that's what it takes for healthy growth. And that's what we really help teams focus on.
And what do you think that it would be something that could sabotage this growth then in the team environment? What could be something that slow it down or like becoming something itchy within the environment?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes good teams, good companies stall out over a couple things, right? When we look at, the culture, the peopling side, it is really easy for bad habits to take hold, unhealthy patterns to take hold of what's going on in the team. Culture always defaults to the worst behavior that we allow. So if we are not constantly and actively working on the culture of our team, it can actively be working against us.
Say that again. Can you repeat that sentence again?
Yeah. So if we are not actively working on the culture of our company, the culture of our team, it will likely be actively working against us. So we have to make certain that we are really making sure that we are, actively working on building a healthy culture. I think also having the wrong people in the wrong seats, what got us here is not going to be what gets us to the next level. So we have to constantly be growing and leveling up together as an organization. And I think as well, when it comes to right people, in the right seats, are we really thinking about what the future of our structure of our team looks like? Are we helping people level up into the roles that they're that they're gonna continue to be in? And, under that sort of guise of what got us here is not going to be what gets us there. We really have to actively be looking at how are we setting ourselves up from a structure perspective, from a systems perspective, and working on the right things towards healthy growth together as a team.
Yeah, you mentioned, yeah, I agree. I think I still have that issue. Professional growth, right? The career path that you need to have like a increased training for the skill set that okay, the higher level of your team members, this is the next level of the skill that they require to move to the next level. And it is hard to know how long it would take for certain person personally um, that they would require to adapt into the new skill set.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully, we're all on that journey, right? We're all on the journey, hopefully, of growing and skilling ourselves up for what is going to or what needs to come next. I think that, when it comes to intent, that word around intentionality, that we're having those conversations with our team on a regular basis. Where do you feel like you're at as far as career paths go? How can I be equipping you? Where do you want to grow? What resources can I give you in your personal growth? I want people on my team to be thinking that way. If we're not growing, we're probably stagnant. So how do we make sure that we're always sort of encouraging and pushing ourselves towards healthy growth individually? Because that's ultimately where we see healthy traction coming from as a team, right? If every individual's unique ability and unique genius is tied to the overarching vision of the organization.
So regarding to culture, so when we're talking about small business, like really small here, because here like at least the audience here is more like towards lifestyle business, so it's not really the big company anyway. So it would be like a small team with high profit margin. It would be that way. So the owner or business owner, does the company culture has to be similar to the owner cultures?
So you're asking, like, does the company culture need to be similar to like what the owner values or how the owner treats other
Yeah.
people?
What do you think on
I
that?
mean, usually there's some pretty tight alignment there, right? You know, a business owner usually is creating an organization and they want certain things to be true. I think that there are different iterations of a company's growth where it's not obviously when you're when you're at sort of that stage 2 level growth, you're hopefully empowering a leadership team to be leading the team. Obviously, the owner should be speaking into the values and habits underneath. If the question behind the question is, if there are unhealthy things that are true about the owner's leadership that need to be addressed, hopefully they have a coach, hopefully they have the right people around them that are helping them work on those issues. Because speed of the leader, speed of the team, as John Maxwell has said, if the owner of the team, the owner of the company is not living into creating a healthy culture, there are unhealthy things around that person's leadership, then certainly that's going to bleed over into the team, and that needs to it's on us as business owners to address those issues and be working on those things. I love what Brene Brown says: who we are is how we lead. If we are not inwardly sound as a leader, if we're not others focused, especially as the owner of a company, there's no way we can expect a healthy culture around that.
And it is true that how the owner feels, somehow that the team members also feel different, because there are many times that the whole team members also quit at the same time, right?
Yeah. And that, I mean, Gallup has said before in their research, people on the whole, people don't leave businesses, they tend to leave managers, they tend to leave their leaders. If there's a mass exodus happening around a leader, there certainly is a conversation that likely should be had with that person.
Interesting. And I'm just keep asking because this is something that I'm curious.
No, absolutely.
If the owners know, in case that they know that they are not a good managers and they already think about exit plan, that they don't want to manage this business, what should be the next move?
Yeah, they should hire a leadership team. They should hire someone to come and operate their business for them, or they should sell it. I mean, I would say, like, we've worked with a lot of owners of companies that are like, I don't feel like I should be leading this team anymore. I want to step into a visionary role, or I don't feel equipped to be leading this anymore. And is this something I should hand over to my team, or hand over to my leadership team, or hire, a CEO and COO to run the day-to-day of the business? And absolutely, I mean, that's part of figuring out like your unique ability and giftedness as a, owner of a company as well. Those certainly should and can be on the table. You have to, again, be intentional about that. You can't just, advocate responsibility without giving authority to the right people. That can be a really unhealthy thing. I'm going to hire this person to come in and run the company, but I'm not really giving them the authority and autonomy to make decisions. Well, that's not going to result in anything healthy for the team, right? So we've got to make sure, again, right people, right seats, doing the right things.
So overall, what do you think that leadership really means in a company?
I always go back to Brene Brown's definition of leadership. I love it so much. I think it speaks to the growth mindset that leaders should have. It speaks to the fact that leadership is a skill. It's not a trait that you're born with. And her definition of leadership is, a leader is anyone who sees potential in people, in processes, and ideas, and has the courage to develop that potential. So, I think our job as leaders, and that really kind of even goes back to this idea of our job as leaders, is to serve those around us, to empower those around us, to be raising up those around us. And as a leader, I should be others focused, and I need to be doing the work for myself, on myself, that I'm showing up in a healthy way every day.
I talked to you before offline about growing the company and growing the team at the same time. I have these scenarios. I think this is something that is always happening. So when you organizing the operation part, and then you need to make sure that the team member is able to catch up, and it's always there's a delay on the testing part, whether you should like let the whole team doing the same thing, or like some test subject, like open to some certain level if they can do it or not. If not, shall we like expand the level of usage, something like that. So how can we do this in the easier way of transitioning in terms of like ERP integration, or something that back ends easier, that not having to deal with learning curve issue as much somehow, which is, I find this is very challenging.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Certainly, growth is always challenging because it stretches us, right? And growth always comes at the edge of what we're comfortable with. And I think growth always requires a great deal of vulnerability, right? What I've found in research would say one of the greatest fears that we have in the workplace is the fear of irrelevance. And so when we are growing and stretching ourselves, when we're growing and stretching other employees, that's a really vulnerable thing, because I can feel very irrelevant. I can feel like what I bring to the table, my skills are not good enough. And it's not that they're not good enough, because we need you to bring all of your experience and skills, and we need to learn this new thing, and we need to be skilling ourselves up. I mean, none of us were probably preparing ourselves for AI entering the workplace 5 years ago, and yet now it's in front of us. And so how do we make sure that we are open to growth, we're receptive to growth, we're receptive to feedback? And I think as employers that we are being really clear and really kind around our expectations. That my expectation of you is not just to get comfortable and, be okay with mediocrity. And it's not okay to just stay stagnant. We have to be learning and growing. And also, I can't expect you, to work 60 hours a week. That's not an expectation that I have of you either. So how do we do this in a healthy way? And that's a give and take, and that's a conversation that's individualized with every employee. But most of the time as employers, we're not taking the time to actually have those conversations. We are just projecting expectations without the conversation, without the clarity. And then we're disappointed in people when they meet our, uncommunicated expectations of them. And we get frustrated, and really that's on us. We've not been clear. We've not held ourselves accountable to communicate, I think, with clarity with our teams.
Coming back to those who still thinking that they are still working in the business, like they're still working a lot inside the business, and they're starting to want to buy back their time, or want to reprioritize their workload or something. Is there any recommendation that you want to share?
Yeah, we have a blog post. There's a great tool called the Eisenhower Matrix that, basically you kind of do a time audit for yourself and say, where am I spending my time? And then, prioritize what's urgent, not urgent, what's important, not important. And you kind of divide that up into those axes. And I think really there we start to figure out what am I spending time on that's, just sort of part of the pile on that we've always done, or, as we look at our week, what's important, what's not important. One other tool that I use is the Full Focus Planner. This is what I keep all of my sort of notes, and I have a calendar that's on Google, but as far as task list and things that I am accountable to do, I do it in here, because it's a pain to carry stuff over day to day. And as you're doing that, you're starting to say, like, what can I delegate, or what should I just stop doing? So I think that there's some tools like that out there, Full Focus Planner, Eisenhower Matrix, doing a time audit, that really can help you focus on spending your time and your unique genius.
So what about tell me more about your Intention Collective. Like,
Sure. Yeah,
what's your service?
sorry, say that again.
What is your service? Like, what do you have?
Yeah.
I see that there are many things interested.
We do, yeah. Our primary focus is helping grow and scale healthy companies, and so underneath that, one of the big things that we offer and do is help on the strategic planning side. We always start with a 360 on the business to really help you uncover. When we look at sort of the data around healthy growing companies, what are the things that are true and what are the things for your business that we need to focus on and, lean into on the things that we're great at, things that we have opportunity to improve. So we always start with the 360, which helps us create a strategic plan. And that plan, we then help you implement. We help you execute. We don't want that plan sitting on a shelf somewhere. We want to help you really execute that in 90-day sprints. So that's a big thing that we do with companies. And that's really where companies see a lot of growth and traction, right? Is, figuring out where are we taking the company? How do we actually help execute that, activate every person on the team to be able to accomplish that? And then we do a lot of leadership coaching. We do a lot of team coaching. We even have a subscription coaching service where companies can basically allocate a couple hours a week from one of our executive coaches, one of our therapists, to basically be an in-house growth mindset coach for the team. Then we do a lot of professional development, team building, that kind of stuff as well. Really, again, on healthy team, healthy culture, healthy growth, healthy scale.
Wow, subscription model is interesting. So
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. In case anyone want to work with you, where can they find you then?
Yeah, we'd love for folks to visit our website, intentioncollective.co. If you click on resources, we have a couple of free diagnostics, a couple of free tools, but we also offer a complimentary 45-minute coaching session with one of our team members to go over your results from the diagnostic and really help you just sort of step back and see think about where you want to grow and scale your company. So we'd love for folks to stop by there and reach out to us on our website.
So if anyone interested for growing and scaling company with healthy, sustainability, and also with the great culture leadership, so don't forget to check out the intentioncollective.co. So thank you so much, Zach, for joining Get Unstuck Radio today.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The results of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.